TV, music, movies, literature, politics, and show business. At one time or another, they all come to The Ron Sedgy Show. So why don't you?
I needed money 'cause I had none. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won.
You can try fighting the law all you want, but the law is always going to win. From politicians and celebrities to sports figures and business leaders, they're fighting the law. Now, here to sort out the nation's top legal news stories is America's favorite legal analyst, Royal Oakes. This is the Royal Oakes Show.
Robbing people with a 6-gun. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won.
Thank you, Mike Horn, and welcome to the Royal Oakes Show, and welcome to our co-host, Ken Jeffries. How are you doing, Ken?
Hi there. And by the way, a shout out to John Brooks, who I know from formerly KFWB, who I know watches this podcast.
Hello, John. John's a tremendous newsman, and
Yes.
I wish he was back in the biz. We should send him a petition or a
Get him back. I don't think he wants to come back.
Probably not.
Yeah, he's really retired now.
And our millennial correspondent, Connor Oakes. How you doing, Connor?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me.
Big news week, guys. We're going to cover, of course, the Cosby story. He's been convicted, but will he ever serve time? That's kind of an intriguing question. Michael Cohen, a very good week from my perspective.
Says who?
Yeah, I'm going to
Says
tell you.
who?
I'm gonna
Yeah,
tell you
Michael
why.
Cohen impression.
I might
pretty good one.
dispute, but
I think he had a pretty good week. A win on the West Coast and on the East Coast. Dr. Ronnie dropped out of the running.
Not a good week.
For the VA. He had a bad week. And Trump's travel ban may be looking good. People are reading the tea leaves out of the Supreme Court. But before we get to our top stories, of course, we like to have our feature, a moron of the week. We have a moron at the top of the show and one at the bottom. We vote at the end. And then, of course, we're going to have our hot tub time machine. And loyal watchers of the show have noticed we're obsessed with 1968. And that's because it's the 50th anniversary of 1968 and because so much stuff happened in that year. I mean, the assassinations of Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy, the Democratic Convention, there was just an implosion of violence in 1968 leading to Nixon's win. Movies, 2001, Space Odyssey, Planet of the Apes.
that was 1968?
1968.
Wow.
Beatles, Helter Skelter, a rather profound impact on
I was
on
an usher in a
world.
theater where 2001 was.
Were you?
Yeah, back in Long Island. And the big star of the show really was the monolith. And nobody understood what that monolith was. As a joke at the end of the show, I would, as an usher in the back of the theater, I would say, monolith at explanations, 25 cents.
I love it. You, Ken, were probably the only person, and I'm making an assumption, the only person who wasn't on LSD or marijuana watching.
I got to say, just one more thing about it, and then I'll
Sure.
let it go. But during the scene where he goes to Jupiter, all of a sudden the theater smelled of marijuana. It was great.
Shocker.
What a shock.
Yeah, it was great. It was
Jupiter had a
great.
contact high.
Contact high.
So, a moron of the week, candidate number one. This is a guy named Mark Allen Leonard. You know you're in trouble when they use all three names.
Yeah, the middle name's not good.
Yeah, Lee Harvey Oswald, serial killers, assassination suspects. So, out of Palm Bay, Florida, Mark Allen Leonard is 75. He's been going to Sonny's Barbecue for about a year.
Okay.
And he's kind of friendly with the waitresses. He'll give them a big $40 tip and tell them to buy something pretty. He'll rub their shoulders or their lower back.
That's
It's getting worse.
No.
Well, here's what happened. The video surveillance, everything's on video surveillance, including this show. They catch him
cameras here?
smacking
Wait.
one of the waitresses on the buttocks very hard, and he has been arrested for buttocks smacking. Apparently, that's a crime in Florida.
Also, all other states.
Yeah, female waitresses say they were very uncomfortable when he'd come in. They got to the point where they'd refuse to serve him in spite of those $40
I mean,
tips.
I just can't think why.
He said, "Here's a $40 tip. Go buy a new bathing suit. I want to see in it." Thanks a lot, Mark Allen Leonard, whatever the name is. So, kind of an idiot. Our first candidate for moron of the week.
The middle name thing, it makes a lot of sense. You don't want to, if you're talking about a guy who's, an an attempted assassin or an actual assassin or a serial killer, all the Mark Leonards out there will get tarred with the brush. So you need to have Mark Allen Leonard and Lee Harvey Oswald because, America's a big country.
Oh.
Texas is a big state.
There are going to be thousands of Lee Oswalds.
Of Lee Oswalds out there.
Totally innocent, killed nobody.
Yeah.
At least killed no presidents. Now, one of the nice things we do, and Ken Jeffries is a real newsman for KABC Radio, knows this. You advance the story. You tell an interesting story,
Right.
and then a few days or a week later, there's an advancement. Well, we've talked about the poop train last week.
Poop train, choo-choo,
The
yes.
New York waste is
Right.
being trained down to Alabama, just sitting there next to a Little League field for months for no excuse, ruining the lives of these Alabamans. Well, this is kind of a follow-up to that. In North Carolina, there was just a horrible swine stench leading to a $50 million jury award. So I'll give
Wow.
you the facts here. The neighbors of a 15,000 head hog farm, that's a big one, have sued the owner of the farm for spraying urine and feces into the air as the farm's way of dealing with the hog waste.
Wait.
I had no idea that this was a system for dealing with
I
hog
didn't know you
waste.
could do that.
I'm learning something.
Well,
as
under
well.
this EPA, maybe you can.
Yeah.
Are you saying that
Wow.
they put it in like a catapult to get rid of it?
Kind of. The neighbors
So they
complained
sprayed-
of
they sprayed it
stinky
in the air?
circumstances. Yes, they claimed that the farm's waste management plan of storing millions of gallons of excess hog manure and urine in giant open-air cesspools, then liquefying and spraying the resulting slurry onto nearby fields, thus rejecting the costs of trucking out the mess. Now, the New Yorkers were willing to pay to train the mess down to Alabama, but these hog farmers in North Carolina, they just spray it into the ozone.
So it's like a fertilizer. You're using it as fertilizer, but the
you're
method
getting
is
rid
to
of it.
launch it into the atmosphere,
Right, where
to be
other people could-
aerosolized into
And,
our lungs.
and Scott Pruitt of the EPA says, good going.
Good job, well done.
So the
Just
lawsuit
kidding.
says
Wow.
that living near the farms caused an onslaught of flies and pests, nausea, burning and watery eyes, stress, anger, worry, loss of use of enjoyment of their property, no outdoor activities like cookouts, gardening. Remember last week, no Little League games.
No Little League games.
Lawn chores, drifting of odorous mist and spray onto their land, inability to keep windows and doors open, difficulty breathing. So this is a mess down in North Carolina. It makes me glad I don't live in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And you obviously haven't lived in Santa Maria, where I used to do a radio show, but it wasn't really human waste. It was the smell of some kind of lettuce or something early in the morning.
Yuck.
And
Oh, no, you
and
had
it-
to
and it
smell
smelled
lettuce.
as
That
if,
sounds
you know,
terrible.
What a freaking
Oh,
nightmare.
no. I got a Sweetgreens. It's his tragedy. I hate it.
Okay, so follow-up number 2. Remember, we've been talking about monkeys the last few weeks. We've had several monkey stories. There was the
Here
monkey,
we come.
the monkey
Oh, different.
selfie story. The Ninth Circuit said, sorry, the monkey may not sue.
Tragedy.
There was the question of whether a monkey is really a person and thus entitled to be released from captivity. Well, we now have a brand new monkey story out of Tanzania. Apparently, there's a particular species of monkey in Tanzania that is so promiscuous, they're willing to cross the species divide in order to mate with other monkeys, but different types of monkeys. According to expert Kate Detweiler, anthropology professor at Florida Atlantic University, red tails are mating with blues, and blues are mating with red tails, and hybrids are mating with everyone. So this is apparently a crisis in Tanzania.
This is probably, honestly, to be scientifically, accurate, probably a result of the introduction of Tinder to the monkey population. And I mean, you give a monkey an app like that, you think they're going to be judicious and careful with their
I
swiping?
agree.
No, it's right, or whichever one's yes. I don't know which swipe, left or right is yes. Right, positive
I
yes.
agree. I think we
Let's
should
do it.
ban Tinder and
Absolutely.
Tumblr
That's just
and
responsible.
Grindr from the Tanzanian
Thank you.
monkeys.
Thank you.
Final follow-up, guys.
Poopr, pooper.
Starbucks. We've had Starbucks news recently, and you remember Starbucks is closing for half a day coming up in a few weeks to say they're sorry and to train their folks to be racially sensitive and so on. Well, what's happened now is a black comedian named Brian Sharp. He goes by the name Hotep Jesus on social media.
Right.
He decided that he would take advantage of this situation with respect to Starbucks. He felt that it would be appropriate to get free coffee as a form of reparations against African Americans. So he goes into a Starbucks in New York, and he says to the barista, hi, I heard you all are racist, so I came here to get my free coffee. And you know what the barista said? She said, Okay. So she makes what she says, what would you like? What kind of flavoring would you like in your drink? And he gets free coffee.
But did she let him go to the bathroom?
Good question.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine being that barista in that spot? Working at Starbucks now, you just must feel like you're in the spotlight all the time.
Yes.
You have no idea what's going to happen. She did the best possible thing here and just said, because... What is her boss? Is her boss going to get angry at her for doing it? No, it was clever and it just went with the flow. Smart.
And Hotep Jesus went up to her and asked if she's participating in the Starbucks reparations program. And she says, yeah. And while he's waiting for his coffee, he commends her on her willingness to help out, saying, this is justice. This is what I'm talking about. This is great customer service.
It is.
He said,
Starbucks reparations program?
Yeah, he said, reparations for being black in America, Black Lives Matter. He said to her, and she said, Black lives do matter.
There we are.
Amanda quickly replied back at the comedian.
I need to high five Amanda. This is good PR.
Before asking if he wanted any flavor in his drink. He said, I'd like caramel. And he asked if it'll make the coffee sweet. And she said, do you want it to be sweet? And he said yes. And so it was kind of a happy ending.
That is a happy ending. And then they went on a Tinder date.
8,000 stores are going to close for half day on May 29. 175,000 staff members are going to learn how to avoid discrimination. So that's pretty cool. So Kanye West, guys, who's in the news this week, he's sort of a whacked-out guy. I mean, he interrupts ceremonies when Taylor Swift is trying to get a trophy.
Yeah, that was sort of the beginning of the end was George Bush doesn't care about black people. That during Katrina, he had this sort of on-air, totally unscripted moment where he just broke and could not deal with it. He would seem to be overcome with emotion and so the intensity of the situation. And a lot of people said this is understandable. I see where he's coming from. I get why he reacted like this. And it's a very human response to sort of lash out in that way. And whether you agree with him or not, people knew where he was coming from. And that was sort of like the beginning of everybody looking at him askance, like, man, this guy doesn't seem to have control of his life.
So what do you think of him coming out in favor of Trump? I mean, he's right there. He's a Trumpster, right?
Yeah.
He's meeting with them, social media and so on. You think this is going to maybe erode Kanye West's fan base?
Oh, no. Does he have one?
Not that. I would think he's probably got, 20 million
What
Twitter
does Mama Kardashian have? I mean, what's her name? Kris Jenner is the momager.
That's right.
Don't forget, he's part of the Kardashian empire.
Yeah.
And is she going to throw? Is Kim going to divorce him now?
Kim was supporting him, I think.
She
was saying, let's not have thought control.
He has a brain. He can do what he wants, and so on.
Now, at the same time,
but we'll see.
Kanye's just been oversharing in every way, right? He's posting tweets of his private conversations with people like John Legend, who's a very close personal friend of his, and John saying, "Look, I get that you're an independent thinker. I get that you're want to be your own man, but." You may be coming from a point of view of being uninformed or unaware or just wrong on stuff. You've got to understand how people are going to read what you're saying. If somebody is racist or is enacting racist policies, which would make them a racist or whatever, and you come out in support of them, you're coming out in support of their ideas and their policies and their actions, and you have to know that. And Kanye's response is this nonsense, flippant thing to say, oh, you're just trying to manipulate me and control the way I think. He's posting stuff that doesn't make him look good. He's just posting it because he has no control. He has no idea how he should be, what he should be putting online and how he should be, it's nonsense. He's not in control of his message that he's sending to his fans and to the public, and he doesn't know why he's saying what he's saying. He's just sort of, just like with George Bush, lashing out because he's feeling stress and emotion of some kind.
Well, I look at it. I mean, some observers may feel when you have Trump and Kanye West, you have two guys who crave attention, and these are guys. They don't care what they say or what they do. They want the love from the masses, and well, they're getting the attention.
Yeah, that's
I don't know about the other part.
You're right.
But we'll see.
So, guys, I know millennials come in for a lot of flack, Connor Oakes, but teenagers are coming in for some criticism. Teenagers apparently are having trouble reading analog clocks during their exams in school, and schools are literally removing analog clocks and replacing them with strictly digital. Is this an endorsement? Are we really going to continue to be a power on the world stage if our teenagers can't read a clock?
Why do you need to read a clock? My phone shouts at me the time whenever I want.
Miss Grundy, the little hand's on the 2 and the big hand's on the 1, but that strange skinny hand, it keeps moving. This is insane. When we come back, folks, we're going to dissect the controversial Bill Cosby verdict on the Royal
We'll
Oak
be
Show.
back on CRN with the Royal Oak Show. You experiencing pain, back pain, shoulder, elbow, or hand pain, pain from a sports injury? If so, schedule a visit with Dr. Michael Sheps, the leading expert in laser therapy for pain management. Call 310-873-4422 or go to drsheps.com. Experience Epic T, the breakthrough laser therapy system that Dr. Sheps developed to make you pain-free in less time. Laser therapy is a non-invasive, safe, and effective in-office procedure that penetrates deep into your skin without damaging the tissue. It perfectly targets areas of pain to promote fast, natural healing. Relax your muscles, ease muscle spasms, joint stiffness, and arthritis pain while increasing blood circulation. For over 25 years, Dr. Sheps has helped Olympic athletes and sports enthusiasts alike get back in the game. Schedule your visit with Dr. Sheps at his Brentwood office in California. Call 310-873-4422 or visit drsheps.com. That's DRSHEPS.com, 310-873-4422.
Hi, friends. This is Larry Minetti. Go to LarryMinetti.com to get my book, Aloha Magnum. You'll read all about the wonderful guest stars like Carol Burnett, Elvis Presley, Frank Sinatra, and many, many more. There is an episode guide and my favorite recipes that I really cook at home. I will include a free signed photo with every book. Get Aloha Magnum at LarryMinetti.com. Order now. Aloha.
The legends of Ka'anapali Luau at the Ka'anapali Beach Hotel will take your breath away with an abundant feast, spellbinding dances, and music from Lei Pono Productions. Be greeted with a lei and browse to see island crafts made by local artisans. As you hear the pu or conch shell blow, your luau experience will begin. The featured entree is a whole roasted pig and a bountiful menu of some of Hawaii's favorite food choices. Oh, you can't forget our famous made in-house taro poi. As your night comes to an end under the spell of the moon, be amazed by the famous firewalk. By the end of the night, you'll be full, and we hope you'll have made new friends and some forever memories while you continue to listen to music from Maui's local Hawaiian musicians every Monday night at Hawaii's most Hawaiian hotel. Ka'anapali Beach Hotel, voted Best Aloha Spirit by Hawaii Magazine readers. Call 667-0128 or visit legendsofka'anapali.com for your exciting island adventure.
Trying to sell your old car? Instead, donate your vehicle to Heritage for the Blind. Pickup is free and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats, whether they run or not. Call right now and receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to over 50 locations. Call 1-800-785-9618. Donate your car today. That's 1-800-785-9618.
Welcome back to the Royal Oak Show with our co-host Ken Jeffries and our millennial correspondent Connor Oakes. So, guys, we're going to talk about Cosby for sure, but before we do, I just wanted to mention about the Bushes. Of course, we lost the First Lady, Mrs. Bush, recently, and George Bush apparently is out of the hospital. He's feeling better. And I guess he has Parkinson's is one of the reasons he's in a wheelchair and just not doing well. But good wishes go out to him. I'll never forget Dana Carvey's incredible impression of George Bush when from Saturday Night Live.
1,000 Points of Light. Remember that? Yeah, I'm trying to remember it myself.
He was so good at it. And we saw him years ago before he was famous at the Ice House in Pasadena, and he was doing one of his signature deals that became famous, Church Lady.
Yeah.
That was so terrific on Saturday Night Live. So he's been around forever. The problem is, it said he's starting to get a little confused, and he's actually confusing George Bush and the Church Lady impression. I don't know if you saw him recently. He made a little mistake.
Did he?
Did he really?
Yeah, he said, not going to do it. Wouldn't be prudish. And people...
That's pretty good, Dad.
Yeah.
I'm very
So
impressed.
Dana Carvey is losing?
Yeah, he really did that, Ken. You see, I might have made that up.
He might have made that up.
Oh, you might have made that up.
Yeah.
Going for the...
Sorry, I just went for a hook, line, and sinker.
So Bill Cosby...
Dad
tell
loves
the truth.
fooling people more than he even likes telling bad
Yeah, I
jokes.
know.
So that was a combo of both. That was great.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Tell the truth, guys. Were you shocked and stunned and amazed by Bill Cosby's conviction?
No.
You saw it coming? Saw it coming?
We live in the Me Too world. That was going to happen.
What about just all he needed was one juror?
Yeah.
Only one.
I was surprised he was convicted because I thought the jury was out. Remember, when they were out for about a day or so, and I figured, they're not going to come back. They're going to be hung again. And then the process. I think I talked to you about how many times could they retry him? Now, of course, that question is moot.
That's moot. Yeah.
But, I thought it was obviously not a foregone conclusion, but if I had to put money on it, I would have put money on him being convicted. I think, honestly, there's something in people's minds that is worse about a figure like Bill Cosby, who presents himself as wholesome. It would be like Mr. Rogers being, a villain of whatever form.
Sure, America's dad.
Whereas with O.J. Simpson, the guy is a celebrity. He's a football player, but he doesn't present himself out there as a saint, as an angel, as a father figure on TV. And then we get Bill Cosby, and people feel betrayed.
Right.
Absolutely. So it
like
makes
how
sense to
dare
me.
that,
Well, I think one of the reasons that people suspected maybe he would either be found not guilty, or at least there'd be one or two jurors that would hold out, was the new element of Marguerite Jackson.
Yeah.
You remember, she was a co-worker of Andrea Constant, and she was not allowed to testify in the first trial last year.
Right.
When it was hung, they couldn't get 12 to say guilty. And this time, the judge, for some reason, did allow her to testify, and she said, Andrea Constant told me she's going to set up a famous person, she's going to lie about being abused, and she's going to make a lot of money and be able to quit her job. Now, that's pretty amazing.
That's extremely damning.
The idea that at least one juror wouldn't grab that as a hook and say,
and they just didn't, right?
But they didn't. The cross-examination of her was pretty strong, and interestingly, during the 1.5 days they deliberated, the jurors asked the judge to read back of the entire testimony of Marguerite Jackson, which on the one hand maybe buoyed the confidence of the Cosby side, thinking, oh, wow, she was good for us. But the cross-ex was so good, apparently. She told inconsistent stories. Virtually everybody is a little bit inconsistent.
Yeah,
and so that is blown up as a big
Could they
deal
go
in
after her for
cross-examination.
any perjury at all? I mean,
it doesn't happen.
Very unlikely.
It's not.
Unless you're Mark Furman, they're not going to prosecute you for perjury.
I think anytime you get the readback of the cross-examination, especially, I mean, that's where the real, juicy bits are. Direct examination, you just sort of are telling your story. But cross-examination is where all the interesting stuff and excitement is. And that, I mean, it's got to be, it's all about the lawyer's show at that point. On cross, the lawyer is putting on a clinic of how good he is or she is at tearing this witness apart, and so it's got to be bad for Cosby, prospectively.
Apparently, a former Michael Jackson lawyer, Tom Mesereau, who came in, he parachuted in to represent Bill Cosby here. He wasn't that great on in his work here, because apparently the DA was able to outduel him on the cross-examination of Marguerite Jackson. To me, the big deal was, in addition to the whole Me Too climate that we've all been immersed in, was 5 women were allowed to testify, and they were powerful, emotional, angry. They're pointing fingers and yelling at Bill Cosby, saying, you gave me pills, you raped me. They were not allowed to testify in the first trial. It was only Andrea Constant plus one accuser, who apparently didn't get very good reviews. This time around, it's Andrea plus 5 new women. The judge didn't explain the different opinion. One thing that bothers me, though, is to the extent people are saying, well, now we're going to believe every accuser. But then what about yesterday's news? Tom Brokaw, the revered progressive liberal network guy, he's accused of harassment. Rachel Maddow and a bunch of other progressives are coming out and saying, oh, no, Tom's wonderful. He would never do anything. So it's a little inconsistent. You don't always believe in what the women say. So maybe that's a danger in the Me Too movement.
You have to avoid that hypocrisy.
When we come back, Michael Cohen's Excellent Week. Stay with us.
We'll be back on CRN with the Royal Oak Show.
Hi, everyone. This is Fred Dreier with a big announcement. My new movie, Highway 395, has just been released. Don't miss this classic modern-day Western set along Highway 395 in California. It's an action thriller with some romance, too. You can own Highway 395 today by going to my brand new website, freddryer.co. That's freddryer.co. Get my new movie, Highway 395, and check out my new website, freddryer.co.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS? Newsflash, the president has changed the tax laws, and now you may be able to pay the IRS less. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, the tax doctor can help you pay the IRS as little as possible allowed by law. There are new tax laws for business owners, the self-employed, even W-2 workers. If you have a back tax problem or a few years of unfilled returns, new help to save you money is now here. Call right now to see how the new tax laws can help you. Plus, right now, we'll waive the consultation fee and give you a free tax savings report. Attention business owners, the self-employed, and W-2 workers. Make this free call to the tax doctor now and learn how to take advantage of the new tax laws that may help you pay the IRS less. 800-985-1610. 800-985-1610. 800-985-1610. That's 800-985-1610.
Robert Conrad fans, listen up. From 1965 to 1969, it was nonstop excitement with Robert Conrad as James T. West and Ross Martin as Artemis Gordon in the Wild Wild West TV show. 30 years have passed since the first release of the Wild Wild West, the series book. And now, a new book is back and better than ever. Susan Kessler and her team put together thousands of hours of research, great photographs, interviews with original members, and so much more. The first edition was long considered a collector's dream. Now you can order the brand new 30th anniversary print edition online at wildwildwestbook.com for $38.95. The information remains, but there's more pictures. They're in color, 650 sketches and photographs, and so much more. Jim and Artie live again in the Wild Wild West, the series 30th anniversary edition. Go to wildwildwestbook.com. Order it today, wildwildwestbook.com, and have Robert Conrad in your home tonight.
You order a glass of your favorite Cabernet, fresh asparagus, hollandaise on the side, a filet, medium rare. You unfurl your napkin with a flair, close your eyes, and prepare to listen. Ah, there it is. The sweet music you long to hear. The sizzle. The sizzle of a Ruth's Chris steak.
The most magnificent corn-fed prime beef, broiled to perfection at 1800 degrees. Some call it a sizzle. We call it an anthem.
As the waiter approaches, you think, is this one mine or that one?
Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Like Ruth always said, life's too short to eat anywhere else.
Make a reservation online at ruthschris.com or by calling 800-544-0808.
Trying to sell your old car? Instead, donate your vehicle to Heritage for the Blind. Pickup is free and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats, whether they run or not. Call right now and receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to over 50 locations. Call 1-800-785-9618. Donate your car today. That's 1-800-785-9618.
Welcome back to the Royal Oak Show with our co-host Ken Jeffries and our millennial correspondent Connor Oakes.
And Carly Rae Jepsen.
And Carly Rae Jepsen, the huge song of a couple of summers ago. So because I insisted on spending so much time talking about swine feces and monkey sex, we didn't have enough time for Cosby. So doggone it, we're going to finish up with Cosby.
By the way, when
now.
do you start your new show on Animal Planet?
Why not? So, let's finish up with Cosby because you were mentioning, Ken, the yelling and screaming in the courtroom is pretty noteworthy. You've covered a lot of trials, as have I. I don't remember seeing that happen.
Well, we weren't. There were no TV cameras in this court.
No, right. But I mean, we just
apparently what happened. After Cosby was convicted, they said the prosecutor said he was a flight risk and and all of that, and then Cosby gets up and screams. He does not have maybe the prosecutor said he had a plane.
Right.
And Cosby gets up and says referring to himself in the third person, he does not have a plane, you
You blank.
A-hole.
You
Yeah.
blank, right. It was
Wow.
pretty amazing
Yeah.
because, I mean, the scene is he's just been convicted minutes ago.
Right.
They're fussing over whether he should be released on bail pending sentencing. For a few weeks, people are going to be submitting documents, and Cosby himself must maybe testify. And so the prosecution is saying, Judge, he's a flight risk, can you say Roman Polanski, Your Honor?
Right.
All you need is money and an airplane, and
Yeah.
he's in the Swiss Alps.
Yeah.
And Cosby is really getting angry about the suggestion of the plane. And as you say, he says, he doesn't have a plane, blank. Now, to me, it was a perverse sense of humor that Cosby had to refer to himself as the third person. Not because he, feels he's king of England. It's just that everybody's referring to him as he. The judge is saying, well, he's shown up every day, hasn't he? And the prosecution says, but now he's been convicted. So that was Cosby's way.
It could be.
Of striking back.
Yeah,
Do
it
you
was
guys
weird, though.
think that he should be allowed to
Well, now he is
remain
wearing
free?
an ankle monitor, isn't he?
Right, and he's on house arrest. So the first stage is, should he be free pending the sentencing? And then the final, okay, you're going to go off for 8 years, let's say. And then the second question is, pending the appeal that could take 2 years, should he be released pending his appeal?
Right.
What do you think?
I mean, if you
He's
want to
80.
if you want to make a moral judgment about it, I think that personally, honestly, people who have escaped punishment for 4 decades in the meantime,
Right.
I'm not too sympathetic to
that
their
killer, that
desire to
guy
stay at home
upstate,
for a couple
yeah.
more months and put it off. If you're locking somebody, you've now convicted him.
Right.
You want to lock him up for a whole bunch of years, and he's 80 years old. Better get on it. We don't want to miss out on any opportunities to apply punishment if part of our justification for putting people in the slammer is to punish them for their wrongs. If that's a moral judgment.
That makes sense. And in fact, that's the default setting. When you're convicted normally, you are sent to prison pending your appeal. If you can convince the Court of Appeal that you have a really nifty, powerful argument, sometimes they'll let you out. But, the flip side of your point is Cosby could argue, let's assume I really do great on appeal, and the conviction's reversed. I get a new trial. Maybe I'm found not guilty.
Right.
If you lock me up for the next 4 years while the appeal happens, and I die in 4.5 years, basically you've given me a life sentence when I didn't deserve it. But I think the stronger argument is yours, namely, he's been convicted. The standard rule is, okay, let's go to the other ultimate question. Do you think it's fair for the prosecution to be able to troop 5 women in there when it's very possible they convicted Bill Cosby not because they really thought that he did it to Andrea Constant, but because they thought, I think he did it to 3, 4, or 5 of the 5 women who came in, and I'm pretty sure that of the 62 we've heard about, and we lied about hearing it in the jury selection process, 62 women who all say, yeah, he gives me pills and he rapes me, we think he probably did that to the majority of them. We're going to convict him because of all that as opposed to Andrea, when in fact, technically they shouldn't be convicting him unless they're convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that he did it to Andrea Constant. Does that trouble you at all?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a fundamentally difficult problem to grapple with in the justice system. Is you sometimes allow testimony that goes to his his MO, his modus operandi, his pattern, his plan, that the way that he did it it's more plausible that he did it to Andrea Constant because these people say he did it to them. But they should all be in separate trials. If people don't think there's going to be a separate trial.
But their statute of limitations expired.
Right, exactly. If people don't think there's going to be a separate second trial, or the statute expired, or whatever else, if that is in the back of the jurors' minds, what are the odds these people can really separate it and have judgment that's independent of that? It's basically zero. There's basically no way.
It's not like when an attorney gets up and says something scurrilous and the judge says, strike that down, and what's the word?
You can't unring that bell, as they say.
Yeah, well, you can't. It's withdrawn, I think, is what they use on SVU.
And the colorful expression is you can't throw a skunk into the jury box and ask them not to smell it.
Yeah.
Because once they have smelled it. Yeah, so, we'll see. Bill Cosby's going to fight the good fight to try to stay out. But I think he deserves to go to prison right off.
Yeah.
So Michael Cohen had a pretty good week, and I don't know if the president had a good week. Well, I'll tell you why I think he did, but I don't know if the president had such a good week. He kind of admitted that Michael Cohen, is sort of kind of his lawyer in connection with Stormy Daniels. And the Fox and Friends interview, I guess, was pretty controversial when the president decided to go visit his friends.
Go off the rails, yeah. The only people left in the country who are on TV and like what Trump does. So he calls him in. Why not? I just watched Comey get to testify on TV. TV, so I want to feel like I get to testify on Fox and Friends, and lashes out.
I wonder if his lawyers just wish that they probably cringe when they say
Giuliani
have an open-ended interview.
Rudy Giuliani signed on to his defense team about a week and a half ago,
right?
And he told reporters, "I'm signing on to the defense team to negotiate an end to the Russia probe." Right? Didn't he say something like that?
Yeah.
He's going to throw his weight around. What is he feeling now after all of this stormy? Well, it's supposedly irrelevant, but it's really all tied together. Observers would say.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely. He's. And some observers are going on the talk shows saying that he's his own worst client. I mean, Trump
absolutely. And Cohen doesn't help himself either.
So if you're Giuliani, what do you do besides either do nothing or say, forget
I'm sure
about
he loves being in the arena, in the middle of everything. So let me tell you why I think Michael Cohen had a good week. Of course, he's got troubles on both coasts. So let's go to the East Coast first. They've searched his devices. They're thinking about prosecuting him. And he's very worried that all of his devices, all of his files are in the hands of the prosecutors, and the prosecutors say, oh, don't worry, trust us. We have a dirty team, a taint team. We'll have prosecutors who won't continue to work on your case, who will look at everything and tell us what's privileged and what isn't and what we may see. Mm-hmm. And Michael Cohen is going nuts over that. Well, the judge threw him a bone this week. The judge in Kimballwood in New York, the federal judge, said, I'm going to appoint a special master, a retired federal judge, who will look at everything that was seized from you, and she will have an objective, judge-like view as to whether it's privileged or not. And, of course, a lot of it may not be privileged. A lot of it may be allegedly Trump and Cohen cooking up some sort of a cover-up type crime, in which case the special master will probably say, yeah, everybody gets to look at it because that's not privileged, it's evidence of a crime. And then you go to the West Coast. Cohen had a good week because he's been saying to the judge, don't let Stormy Daniels' civil suit against me proceed because I can't fight with one hand tied behind my back. I'm taking the fifth, and when Stormy attacks me and asks me questions under oath in a deposition, I have to be able to answer, and I can't. And so the judge ruled for 90 days her lawsuit is stayed. Yeah. And so, at least for the time being.
That is definitely a big win. The staying that lawsuit there is a very, very big win for him. Back on the East Coast, I'm not so convinced that the appointment of a special master is really that much of a win for Cohen, because I think anybody seeing this stuff other than he and his lawyers, him and his lawyers ahead of time, is going to be just as bad. I think the taint team would have been just as perfect and careful as this retired judge was, and I think this was a way that the judge in that case felt like he could sort of look balanced and strike some compromise in the middle and be responsive to Cohen's concerns, but still say, Cohen, no, you don't get to review it first. You don't get to decide what evidence comes in against you.
Was it also it was quoted that I read, and I don't know if it's true, but that the judge in L.A. thought that Cohen would be indicted in New York?
Yeah.
And
that's one of the reasons.
Did the judge say it, and does that mean anything?
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons.
It means his opinion, but
that the judge is willing to put the Stormy Daniels civil suit on the shelf for 90 days because of the very real possibility that things would proceed in New York. So I don't know that it means all that much. As you say, Connor, it's the opinion of the judge, but for now anyway, Cohen can maybe breathe a little easier.
I mean, all that said, you're right. These are wins for Cohen. I don't think you can say that somebody who's been raided by the FBI and then it leaks that he's got more than a dozen electronic devices, cell phones, more than a dozen is who knows what the exact count is, that were seized and reviewed. Who's got 12 plus burner phones and is not committing crimes? Also, Cohen, I don't know if you know what
by the way, who says they're burner phones?
Well, I mean, why does he have 16 phones? They're not burners because he hasn't burned them. That's
like when Jack Bauer would get a phone and throw it away? Okay.
Rule number 1 of burner phones, guys. Burn them. That's the point. That's not my legal advice,
or
by the
as
way.
with Hillary Clinton, just take a hammer and hit
exactly.
the phone.
Or wipe the server clean.
The one thing you don't do is you nix and tape yourself and keep all 16 phones or whatever.
Yeah.
Guy, come on, you're the worst fixer ever.
No problem. He'll be able to cut a good deal with Mueller. It might not be good for Trump.
No.
So who knows? Good week, bad week for him. But one thing is clear: Rear Admiral Ronnie Jackson had a bad week.
The Candyman was a bad one.
Talk about a bad idea.
Oh my God.
The president. Why would the president subject this guy to this sort of gauntlet and this sort of scrutiny? And they're talking about this doctor. Everybody's been saying wonderful things about him. He was Obama's doctor. He was George W. Bush's doctor, and now Trump's. Everybody says great things about him. He did really well a few months ago on a press conference explaining why Trump isn't all that fat. So here you have a guy who is utterly unqualified for the job of running one of the biggest bureaucracies in the nation, something like 400,000 people, really critical. The Veterans Administration, the lives and the interest of millions of Americans,
veterans,
thank you for your service, at stake, and you're going to have somebody who plainly is unqualified.
Yeah.
So there's that. So apart from that, I mean, he could have been the most qualified guy in the world, and yet now they're coming up with stuff like, oh, he's Dr. Feelgood. He was prescribing opiates when he shouldn't. Oh, he's, drunk half the time when the president, if the president needs help.
Medical help.
Car allegedly or something, government car or something.
Yeah, wrecked a government car. This is an example of the fact that it's a perfect example of how Trump is all about cronyism and this mafioso-style favor trading. That press conference was exactly the reason he got this nomination.
Because he said Trump weighed 235 pounds.
Yeah, because he went out there and said, Trump is not a hideous slob. And Trump said, you get a gold star, buddy. I'm going to promote you.
There is one thing, though. If he was guilty, if the doctor was guilty of all this pill-pushing years ago, how come he wasn't fired then when he was doctor to George W. Bush and Barack Obama?
Because he wasn't under this microscope.
No, but even so. I mean,
but you're right.
It's, I don't understand that part.
Yeah. Well, the bottom line is that he never should have been nominated. No. And the analogy that comes into my mind is Harriet Miers. She's like one of the top staffers for George W. Bush in the White House. George tries to nominate somebody to the U.S. Supreme Court, and it doesn't work out, so he's got to go for a backup. And who does he pick? Oh, Harriet's over there in the corner of the room. And he had the gall to call her the most qualified person, which every president refers to every one of their nominees.
Right,
I've scoured the planet, and I found the most qualified person in the United States.
And they happened to be 60 feet from my office when I needed somebody.
Except Trump said, I'm going to pick the best people. And, I mean...
That's true.
When he ran for office. And
Trump's
drain the swamp,
they all do that.
So
I mean, his M.O. is to write checks that his... overweight but can't cash.
So Trump likes to call Elizabeth Warren, the very progressive senator from Massachusetts, Pocahontas. And
yes,
he did this to an Indian group, American Indian group, and got a lot of flack. Well, guess what? There's a real Indian crisis or controversy going on because Elizabeth Warren has an opponent for the Senate in Massachusetts. And this guy is referring to her, he says, only a real Indian can defeat the fake Indian. He's claiming to be a real Indian from the subcontinent.
Subcontinent
he
of
is
Asia,
an independent
India,
candidate named Shiva Ayyadurai. He hopes to challenge Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren for the state Senate, and his campaign website says he went from the Untouchables cast of India in the 1970s to getting a PhD from MIT. That does sound like a Cinderella story.
Yeah, it sure does.
I mean, that's quite an amazing accomplishment.
Right.
And so his website includes a prominent call to action asking voters to defeat #fake Indian Elizabeth Warren.
I mean, this is... You cannot beat a powerful, connected, famous, name recognition wielding incumbent unless you somehow make national headlines. There's just actually no possible way you can ever do it unless you somehow get CNN and friends to pay attention to you. It's just actually possible. So I totally understand, of course, why he's doing this, even if a lot of people are going to look at this and say, that's not the right way to go about it, or you look bad as a result. That does not matter. At this point in the campaign, all that matters is becoming a household name, and then solve all your other problems later.
His campaign bus says, only a real Indian can defeat a fake Indian, all right? So the problem is, it's so controversial, the city officials in Cambridge, where Harvard lives, they imposed a fine of $300 a day on him if he didn't remove the fake Indian banner from his campaign bus immediately. Now, he's claiming, well, gee, isn't there a First Amendment right to free speech?
Yeah.
Don't you think maybe he might have the better of the argument? Should he really have to pay $300 a day for putting up a sign on his campaign bus that says only a real Indian can defeat a fake Indian?
Yeah, that's a weird one. I mean, you'd think that we'd have free speech and you could say whatever you want, even if it's offensive. But if their perspective is that there's a law about political speech and decorum somehow in political speech that he's violating, or if he's basically, I mean, it's not like the guy's done deep research himself or really fact-checked this whole fake Indian thing. I mean, he's basically relying on Trump's speeches and Twitter feed for the proof that she's not really Native American, right? So That's kind of problematic. The idea
and what's this got to do with the people of Massachusetts who the senator is supposed to serve?
Yeah, and that absolutely gets to the bottom of it. You don't want it in your race, whether it's legal or not. You don't want it.
Now, he feels very strongly about it. Here's the quote of note from him. He says, "We will not allow the racist Elizabeth Warren to unleash her fascists in the city of Cambridge to shut down our historic slogan, only a real Indian can defeat a fake Indian."
Guy's passionate.
Then he concludes it with, "Be the light, Shiva." So he's got that going for him.
Sure, yeah. I believe it.
Well, as you say, he's getting the attention that he never would have gotten under any circumstances at all. Hey, when we come back, we are going to have our hot tub time machine one more time, talking about 1968. We're going to have our second Moron of the Week candidate.
Can't wait.
You guys can vote. Stay with us on The Royal Oak Show.
We'll be back on CRN with The Royal Oak Show.
Hey, Lorraine, do you realize that your mother, my mother-in-law, Chef Maria, has been serving Las Vegas since 1949?
Yes, I do, Dennis. That's when she first met Howard Hughes, who fell in love with her cooking.
And in 1955, she opened her first restaurant on Fremont Street.
Yes, dear. And another great customer was Liberace.
Wow. Then in 1962, while Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack were causing global excitement on the Las Vegas Strip, your family opened their second restaurant.
And in 1972, Elvis Presley began electrifying Las Vegas audiences and eating in our restaurant.
You know, Lorraine, this is quite a town. There's only one Las Vegas.
And there's only one Bootlegger Italian Bistro.
Folks, when you're in Las Vegas, come visit us. We'll make you feel like you're part of our family.
The Bootlegger Italian Bistro, conveniently located at 7700 Las Vegas Boulevard, South Strip. Visit our website at www.bootleggerlasvegas.com.
The smartest way for you to get the lowest prices on your plane tickets, domestic or international, is to call SmartFares first or last, but you've got to call us before you book your plane tickets. Fly anywhere in the world, fly anywhere in the U.S., and SmartFares can save you up to 75% on your plane tickets. We have the lowest airline ticket prices on over 500 airlines, and you've got a great 12-hour free cancellation window. Plus, with our live agent help, you can always get fast help and fast answers. So on your next trip, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, how about right now? Pick up your phone and call SmartFares, plus save up to 75% on your plane reservation. So call right now. 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you could donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now, 1-800-785-9618. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-785-9618. That's 1-800-785-9618.
Welcome back to the Royal Oak Show with our co-host Ken Jeffries and our millennial correspondent Connor Oakes.
What is life?
Yeah.
What is life?
George Harrison.
George Harrison, yeah. Great song.
Amazing. Musician. So, okay, we're in our final block, guys. Let's kick it off with the second Moron of the Week candidate, okay?
Love it.
Remember the first Moron of the Week candidate was Mark Allen Leonard, the idiot in Florida who would smack the waitresses
Sexual
on the
assault,
buttocks.
yes.
In the tuchus.
Yes.
Yeah. He's been arrested. So our second candidate is Allie Wentworth. Now, maybe you don't know the name Allie Wentworth, so you do know her?
I do know who she is, as a matter of fact.
So,
she was she was the wife of George Stephanopoulos.
Still is, right?
Or Stephanopoulos. I'll fix my teeth later. Stephanopoulos.
So
and then, she was an actress, too, I think.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Is
okay.
Allie
you're right.
She's an
Actress,
actress,
comedian.
and I don't think she's a singer, but she was an actress, and she's
Okay.
done some stuff. Yeah.
So she's
So
been-
far, I don't mind her.
Well, so far, no
Yeah.
no moronic tendencies.
Yeah.
So she's been married to Stephanopoulos for 17 years. She's
Okay.
written a book, a memoir now.
Oh, okay.
And in the book, she reveals how often she and George have sex.
Oh, no.
And it's a lot.
Oh,
so what she says is, I've lost friends over this. I go to lunch with my friends, and this topic comes up a lot. Now, that shocks me. I mean, when I go to lunch with my pals, the subject rarely comes up.
No,
how often
no.
she has sex with George Stephanopoulos. But anyway, it comes up for her a lot, and she
Right.
She says, whenever I answer the question, I take a deep breath, and then I spit it out. And then the women at the lunch table gasp and scream like I've confessed that I shot my dog. One of them slams her fist on the table. One woman's wine glass smashed in her hand.
What?
And
Wait,
Allie,
you said smashed a wine glass in her hand like
yes,
the Hulk?
that was the reaction.
How often does she? Do you have an
what's
answer
the
there,
number?
or what?
We don't know the answer, unfortunately.
Oh, come
but
on, bait and switch.
apparently it's a lot. And so her answer to us is, I'm sorry, we're hot for each other. So she talks about this
Okay, hold on. Let me
in
get
her book.
George Stephanopoulos' wife and he, what number
And
would
she.
make... sorry, and she... and
he, you're right. No.
What
We don't want a
number-
gender-bending situation here.
What number would make you smash your wine glass?
I don't know.
I mean, you got to take a guess. Is it over or under? Like, would you ever
I don't know.
smash
Once
the
a
wine
week.
glass?
I mean, once a day. I'd say once a day would tick off the ladies at the lunch.
Okay, once a day, though, if somebody said, yeah, my husband and I have sex once a day, it would be sort of like a, wow, that's a lot.
Mazel tov.
Mazel
Yeah,
tov. That
mazel
sounds
tov,
like a
right.
great relationship. How do you all have... you're both in the same city every night. That's great. But I wouldn't smash my wine glass. I think there's a massive difference, and you only get to wine glass smashing territory if that number is really like 1.1. If we're at 1.1
Maybe
average
it's
times a
2.0.
night...
Maybe it's George 2.0. I don't know. So
I guess there's like the 10 o'clock news, and then there's the late show.
So, guys, it's time to vote. Who is the most moronic person among our candidates today? The guy that smacks the buttocks of the waitress, or the George Stephanopoulos missus who brags about how much sex she's having
Can
with
I
George?
vote for the wine glass smasher? Because I
no.
want to.
No, Allie
is that
Wentworth.
not allowed?
Sorry, she's not a
It
candidate.
has to be Allie.
She's not a candidate. Sorry.
All right. Then I take the sexual assault butt slapper guy.
Me too.
Okay. All right.
This woman's
I
just
like
not
Allie
for-
Wentworth anyway.
It's
so-
unanimous.
Not for her
We're
man.
going with that.
I would have sex with George Stephanopoulos once a night, so I can't really call her a moron.
So we've come to
Wait,
our
what does he
astronomy
even look
corner,
like? I don't
guys.
even-
What did you say?
We've come to our astronomy corner on the Royal Oak Show, and we like to keep the show on a high plane. So let me ask you this: What would the odor of Uranus be?
Besides stinky,
Scientists, University of Oxford researchers
I'm done.
have recently
Good night,
discovered
folks.
Uranus is the home of flatulent-smelling clouds. Clouds of hydrogen sulfide that smells like rotten eggs or somebody passing gas. That is the odor.
There's no way
And
that Uranus smells like flatulence.
You heard it here. I'm proud to say on the Royal Oak Show. Jose, it's time for our Hot Tub Time Machine segment from 1968.
I don't
Let her
believe that.
rip, please.
And
is
here
from
comes the
1968.
answer from Simon and Garfunkel.
Right.
Well, we don't have to. We're running out of time. Mrs. Robinson.
Mrs. Robinson is the song. So this
Graduate.
is our Hot Tub Time Machine segment because this was a big moment in 1968.
Yeah.
The Graduate was the big movie. Mrs. Robinson was the huge song. So let's let our minds drift back to 1968 and then abruptly come back to today because we're out of time. See you next time on the Royal Oak Show.
CRN Digital Talk Radio prides itself on being the station of every situation. Of course, you can always listen live through your local cable TV provider, as well as on our website at crntalk.com. But if cutting-edge technology is more your style, you'll be happy to know that CRN is now available on